And a warm welcome to the program. I'm Melinda Akinlami. Our focus is on the North Central. In the wake of the attack on the Elwata community in Benue State, which claimed the lives of around 150 people, the political class in the state are all in agreement that they must put their differences aside in order to deal decisively with the menace of insecurity and terrorism. The Special Advisor to the Office of the Secretary General of the Federation, Teres Kanum, and the Technical Advisor on Media to the Benue State Government, Solomon Oipev, while speaking on our midday political program, Lunchtime Politics, say the time for playing politics is over and acknowledge that issues can only be resolved through a united front.
This is not a war. This is not a fight between the herdsmen and farmers. If it was a fight, you draw your dagger, I draw mine. You come to me, we face ourselves and we fight. But this is a pure attack on the people. This is an attack on people who are helplessly sleeping at night, who are not prepared for battle, are not prepared for war, and you come and slaughter them in their sleep and in their beds. That's not a fight between two people. That's an attack. That's genocide. We're not talking politics here. We're talking about the lives of people. And what the president came for yesterday was to ensure that we have the restoration of peace in Benue. And that's where our emphasis are. The governor is determined to ensure that this is brought to a close. And this matter doesn't arise again. People should live in peace. We are farmers. We need to go back to our farms.
The SDF has appreciated the coming of the president. The SDF is totally committed to peace, to end this crisis. And at the moment, what we are facing is the crisis that is facing our people. We are committed to bringing peace. The policy is set by the president, and every former governor has established role and major stakeholders that will be selected, and they are going to come together as brothers to bring peace to our people. What we are concerned now is SDF is the father of these things, and we are committed to peace. We are not discussing issues, we are not discussing politics. We want our people to have peace. When it's time for politics, we'll do politics.
Staying with security matters, commanders of all military formations and operations across the country must ensure communities are protected from attacks while maintaining the human rights of the civilian populace. The Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, gave the charge at the Civil Military Relations Conference in the nation's capital, Abuja, where he emphasized the urgent need to bridge the trust deficit between the military and civilian population. General Musa adds that the military will continue to employ kinetic and non-kinetic measures to tackle insurgency and other forms of insecurity.
The Chief of Defense Staff, heads of paramilitary agencies, civil society organizations, and members of the academia are all gathered for the maiden Civil Military Relations Conference of the Defense Headquarters in Abuja.
It is with great pleasure.
The platform provides an opportunity for continued dialogue that will close the disconnect between the military and civilians.
There is a growing disconnect between the armed forces of Nigeria and the civilian population. Many of our fellow citizens perceive the military not as protectors, but as a force to be feared. Therefore, this conference has been convened by the Chief of Defense Staff to help change that narrative.
The Chief of Defense Staff underscores the critical role of civilians in national security. He then gives a fresh directive to commanders of all military formations and operations in the country.
Our ultimate ambition is to see the armed forces of Nigeria not only respected as a formidable security force, but embraced as a trusted national partner for peace, development, and democratic consolidation. My charge to my commanders all over the country is you must ensure that you protect the communities you are defending. And the people must understand that you are there for them and that you need them to succeed.
The keynote is presented by the Minister of Information, who is represented by the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry, and he highlights the threat posed by the disconnect between the military and the civilian population in Nigeria.
Civilians in some quarters perceived participating animals not as partners in peace, in fact, because of aggression, brutal, offensive, and distant. This perception poses a great threat to national unity and stability. We must challenge misinformation and foster responsible reporting.
As the opening of the conference ends and the meeting goes into technical session, many hope that the outcomes from the meeting will mark a significant step towards strengthening civil-military relations in Nigeria.
Meanwhile, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, has pledged the commitment of the armed forces of Nigeria to defend the territorial integrity of the country as a nation. Addressing an expanded news conference in Abuja on the occasion of the second anniversary of his appointment and that of service chiefs, General Musa says the armed forces of Nigeria, in collaboration with other sister security agencies, remain committed to overcoming all security challenges. He adds that the military will continue to employ the whole of society approach to tackle insurgency. In a continued effort to support victims of the devastating flood disaster in Mokwa local government area in Niger State, the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, has distributed essential hygiene items to displaced persons to prevent an outbreak of cholera and other waterborne diseases in the community. Speaking during the event, the UNICEF Water, Sanitation and Hygiene Specialist from the Kaduna Field Office, Teresa Palmer, said the team initially visited Mokwa to assess the situation and subsequently planned a range of interventions to support affected residents. She said the distribution exercise was carried out as part of UNICEF's emergency response following a rapid assessment conducted in flood-affected communities.
Yes, we came here initially to do a rapid assessment, and then based on that, we planned some interventions that will support in Mokwa local government as part of our response to the flood situation. And we started implementing services the other time we came. Now we are back to provide supplies, some basic supplies to the IDPs, and that's why we are here. We are hoping that we'll do some distribution. You can see we have cartons of cholera kits. We know that this is the rainy season, and we know that there's already rampant open defecation. And I tell you, in Niger State, the percentage of open defecation in Niger is 46%. That is very, very high. And we have fears, that there's the likelihood of cholera because toilets have now been overflown with water, and the contents of those toilets may go into people's sources of water. And, there's likely going to be contamination of water sources. So we are positioning these basic kits with the affected people so that they can use it to prevent their drinking water from getting contaminated, and therefore preventing the possibility of cholera or other waterborne diseases taking place.
In Plateau State, children under the age of 5 across the 17 local government areas are primary targets for the 2025 seasonal malaria chemo prevention campaign, which begins later this month. During the flag-off exercise, the Deputy Governor, Josephine Pio, restated government's commitment to prioritize healthcare services with an appeal to practitioners to work with the administration to achieve 100% coverage.
The Plateau State Ministry of Health, through the State Malaria Elimination Program, in collaboration with the Malaria Consortium, has flagged off the 2025 seasonal malaria chemo prevention campaign in Jos, the Plateau State capital. To support this campaign, over 11,000 ADAC personnel have been deployed in partnership with Malaria Consortium, and 800 health facilities have been activated across the state. Plateau State Deputy Governor Josephine Pio enjoined health workers and all concerned to ensure that the program is successful.
As we embark on the 2025 SMC program, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to the State Ministry of Health and the Malaria Consortium for their tireless efforts in ensuring the success of the initiative. I also commend the First Lady of Plateau State for accepting the role of the 2021-2025 SMC ambassador and the wives of the 17 local government chairmen for their commitment to serve as SMC advocates. Your support and advocacy will undoubtedly create more awareness and demand for this life-saving intervention.
The event witnessed the investiture of wife of the Plateau State Governor, Helen Mufwag, as SMC ambassador, as well as the induction of wives of local government chairmen as coordinators of the campaign at the various council areas.
As the 2025 SMC ambassador, I call on all the good people of Plateau State to take advantage of the SMC initiative to protect our children from malaria by ensuring all under 5 children have access to the SPAQ medications that will be distributed from house to house for 4 days every month for the next 5 months, from this month, June, to October 2025.
Commissioner for Health, Dr. Nicholas Baamlong, stresses the importance of the exercise to the targeted audience.
Yes, the importance of this program is to first ensure that the entire state is sensitized to the awareness that we usually will have a surge in malaria infection during the rainy season, because you know that during the rains, this is when the mosquitoes will breed. And so because of that, transmission is very high. And a lot of children are vulnerable. And that is why we target children between the ages of 3 months to 59 months. Because at that age bracket, whenever they get malaria, it's usually very severe. And most of them will not just be sick, some of them can even die from it. And so this program is aimed at that sensitization, because we are starting a program where between the months of June, July, August, and September, we will be giving out some chemoprophylaxis. That is some medicines that will help to prevent this malaria transmission. And so across the entire state, a lot of health workers will be moving around, every 4 days in a month to distribute these drugs to this category of children.
Meanwhile, the program manager of the State Malaria Elimination Program, Ndak Zuhumnan, is optimistic that the involvement of all stakeholders in the campaign will complement government effort in malaria prevention.
Today's event marks a turnaround as the wife of the Executive Governor of Plateau State, Her Excellency Barrister Manasseh Caleb Mutfwang, was crowned as the SMC ambassador, and the wives of the 17 local government chairmen were crowned as the SMC advocates. It then means that all the wives of the local government chairmen, including our health team in each of the local government, will go back and have their own flag off, and that will bring the traditional rulers at the local level, the religious leaders, key stakeholders, politicians at the local level, to preach to our people that there is need for them to accept this medication, avail children under 5 years to have access to the free medication the Plateau State government, in collaboration with Malaria Consortium, will be dishing out from May to October 2025.
The program aims to reach over 963,000 children in nearly 11,000 communities, with over 11,000 trained personnel, which also combine SMC with other strategies like insecticide-treated nets and sanitation at the local government areas.
The senator representing Kogi Central, Natasha, has been arraigned by the federal government at the FCT High Court on a 3-count charge for allegedly defaming the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, and former Governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello. The senator, who was accompanied by her husband and associates, pleaded not guilty when the charges were read. In view of her plea, the prosecuting lawyer, David Kowase, asked Justice Chizoba Oji to remand her in prison till the determination of the charge. However, Senator Natasha's lawyer, Professor Roland Otaru, got permission to move the bail application for the defendant on the ground that it's mature for hearing. In her Ruling, Justice Chizobaoji noted that the alleged offense was not a capital one and admitted her to bail in the sum of 50 million naira and one reasonable surety in like sum who must be a property owner of a land within the court's jurisdiction. The court has fixed September the 23rd for the commencement of trial. Meanwhile, a political group, the Northern Youth Council of Nigeria, has asked Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan to provide concrete evidence of sexual harassment which she leveled against the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, to prove her claim due to the sensitive nature of the allegation. Addressing a media conference in Kaduna State, the National President of the Northern Youth Council of Nigeria, Mr. Isa Abubakar, noted that such a grave allegation could lead to an irreparable damage to reputations if the senator fails to substantiate her claims. The group added that the allegation of threat to life involving Senator Akpabio and others should also be proven.
The member of the leadership of the Northern Youth Council of Nigeria are here to address conference of deep, troubling matter that have seized the attention of our nation, demanding immediate transparency and responsible action. These include serious allegations of sexual harassment against the person of the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio. As representative of the youth and concerned citizens of Northern Nigeria, we firmly believe that integrity, transparency, and accountability are the bedrock of our democracy. Allegations of this nature and magnitude not only affect individuals involved, but also have profound implications for the reputation of our legislative body, the trust and the public place in our political system, and the very fabric of our society. You know, it is unacceptable for people to just wake up and start alleging issue of sexual harassment without coming out clearly and giving evidences. Regarding this allegation, in light of the sexual harassment allegation leveled against the Senate President Godswill Akpabio, we would respectfully call on Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan to provide concrete evidence to substantiate her claim.
The Kwara State government, in collaboration with private investors, has commenced the distribution of farm inputs to rural farmers to boost their output and productivity, as well as minimize the age-long clash between them and herders. The pilot exercise in Kwara North Senatorial District involved the distribution and provision of sorghum, fertilizers, and improved seedlings to 10,000 farmers across the state.
Agrarian community in Bani district of Kayama local government area of Kwara State. They are playing host to government officials and others who are here to change the farming narrative of the community, especially the feeding of animals. As part of efforts to eradicate the age-long crisis between the herders and farmers over feeding of animals and improved foodstuff for farmers, the Kwara State government is flagging off the distribution of fertilizers, improved seeds, herbicides, especially soya beans and sorghum, to the two groups.
What we're seeing today is the reason for His Excellency pushing for cluster farming, so that we can bring in partners to support us. We are able to see the success of his intentionality, of his reforms. He's always wanted us to, when I came on board as the commissioner, one of the things he wanted us to do was to engage with real farmers.
The crops will serve two purposes of human consumption and feedstock for livestock. The program, according to the official, will ensure that the harvest will be bought at a price agreed by both the farmers and buyers to prevent post-harvest losses. Eliminating the constant clashes between herders and farmers is believed to be the main focus.
With this program that we're bringing together in collaboration with the Kwara State and with the Ministry of Livestock, we are seeing to it that we can create clusters where farmers can farm successfully and also be able to produce feed for the cows, which at the end of the day, there will be less clash, and then for the animal feed and for animal consumption, there's going to be enough food for everybody to go around.
The community expressed appreciation to the state government for the initiative, which they believe will drastically reduce clashes and improve the farm output in the state.
We really want to thank our executive governor, Malam Abdurrahman Abdurazak, for his foresight in feeling that food is first before any other thing. We really appreciate. And I know our people will make the best use of whatever they get. And by the grace of Allah, be expecting the result. And you will say that the Wazir of Kayama, on behalf of Emir of Kayama, told you that something positive will come out of this.
With the distribution of the farm inputs to both the farmers and herders in Kwara North, other parts of the state is being considered in order for the benefits to spread to the entire state.
Let's return to one of our top stories, which is the aftermath of the killings that took place in Yelwata, Benue State. To discuss this, we're being joined by an indigene of Yelwata, but is based in the United States. Mr. Frank Utor is a policy research analyst at the University of Central Oklahoma. A pleasure having you with us on the program.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Utor, the president has visited Benue State to assess the situation and has spoken to leaders to ensure the violence stops. Now, is this what the people are hoping to hear?
Well, his visit yesterday was that of mixed feelings from the people, partly exciting and partly unexciting. The exciting part was exactly what the chief said yesterday, that this is the first time a president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria could visit Benue State during moments of crisis. Of course, we've had a plethora of crises in the last 20 years, that consumes so many lives. So I think that's part of the exciting moment we recorded yesterday. The unexciting moment is that the president never really inspired hope. For me, as a firm believer, I've studied as part of my modules, war studies, I realized that most presidents of the world made their marks during moments of crisis, moments of war, moments of violence and terror, such as this. Presidents, leaders like Prime Minister Churchill, Abraham Lincoln, even recently in 2011, Jens Stoltenberg, who was the Prime Minister of Norway. It was because of that he became even the NATO Secretary General for 10 years, from 2014 to 2024. So when the president came yesterday, we expected him to move to Yelwata, meet with the people directly, for goodness sake. That was what George Bush did. George Bush went to the rebels of 9/11, and from there he inspired a nation. He gave a speech promising to take justice to the terrorists, or bringing the terrorists to justice, or whichever round, justice must be done. And then he said they are not going to make any distinction between the terrorists who committed that act and the people who sponsored them. And of course, the rest is history. We know what they did to Osama bin Laden. We know what they did, right or wrong, in Iraq. So, because when I looked at the audience yesterday that the president was addressing, 80% of them were coming from Abuja. From the ministers, to the governors, to the senators, to even some of the Benue elites. You are talking to our stakeholders. I think the meeting ought to have taken place in Abuja, because 80% of the stakeholders were from Abuja. There are nobody from the host community, no CAN president who has been speaking on this, the CAN chairman of Benue State, the Catholic Bishop of Makurdi Diocese, His Lordship Bishop Anagbe, So that is the part that we found not inspiring. But we thank him. He was able to give a marching instruction to the Chief of Defense Staff, General Musa, that he should go after the killers and bring them to justice. So we have started our countdown. This is the first day number 1, after the president has issued that marching order. We'll be counting down till forever to when this when these killers are apprehended and brought to justice. And of course, we can assist them with the location of these killers, because they are always coming from Nasarawa State, from the axis of Obi local government, Kiana local government, Duma local government, Awe local government. I don't know why Nasarawa State has become a safe haven for these terrorists, because even the ones attacking Plateau were coming from Mahanga Forest in Wamba local government. So maybe the governor of Nasarawa State has something to say. I wasn't excited by his presence yesterday. I think it was quite cosmetic, because the most important thing was why these guys have found Nasarawa State as a safe haven, the launching pad for terror attacks, genocidal attacks in Benue State.
Mr. Otto, if I may come in, going forward, what do you expect to happen after this going forward? Briefly, if you can quickly tell us.
Okay, going forward, the first thing is justice. Martin Luther King Jr. said, peace is not just the absence of crisis, but the presence of justice. So the first thing is justice, because that will serve as the biggest deterrent. And then the second is, for goodness sake, Benue State has an open grazing prohibition law. That is a valid law. The president ought to have directed the security agents to enforce this law. It's a valid law. It has been tested even by the Fulani groups in court, and court upheld the law. So the president, as a custodian of Nigerian laws, as a custodian of the constitution, ought to have directed the Nigerian security agents to make sure they enforce the law. And then number three, look, we've been having antiquated, outdated security measures in our land. It's not all about mounting checking points. Like, okay, they've deployed, the day that this attack happened in Yerwata, only 4 soldiers were there. Only 4 in that community. And of course, we gave the soldiers intelligence report that these guys were coming. I still have it in my phone. Intelligence report. So now we want the federal government to put up a control and command center to get a fortified response team stationed along the axis of Makurdi to Abuja Highway, and then activate an emergency response number, a globally renowned number like 999 or 911, so that when you see any threat anywhere, you call these things and then they will react immediately. It's not all about mounting checkpoints. It doesn't happen through the roads. It's happened in the bushes.
Mr. Otho, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us on the program. And that's
Thank you very much. You're welcome.
And that's the program today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Melinda Akinlami.